Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we are at Clash Endurance Miami. My next guest, I don't know, probably one of my favorite people in the stratosphere, Mr. Andrew Starykowicz. How you doing,
So
Mr.
we've gone
A?
from the world to the stratosphere.
I know.
How many
See?
people between world and stratosphere are there?
About 1,000.
There's
yeah,
1,000.
Yeah. But you're right in there, baby.
Yeah.
So wait a second. Do we need to negotiate space for rent?
I'm definitely up for negotiations. I mean, what are
Okay,
you
where
looking
are we
for?
starting the bidding at? Because I've got a Babbittville logo, and I'm sure our viewers might have a logo they want to put on there.
So we got the option of going. We can do one race deals. We can go half the season, full season. I mean, there's a lot of options out there. Especially, I mean, now that we have a lot of events that are getting on to TV.
Yes.
Between the Opens this year through the PTO,
All the Clash events. Yep.
are on TV. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of different viewership audiences that are going to be experiencing triathlon. So, I think it's time that we move beyond just shoe companies, bike companies, and all of the basic endemic sponsors and go big.
Go non-endemic.
Yes.
Nothing's bigger than Babbittville, right? So that Babbittville logo could go on there.
Would that be endemic?
It would be endemic to me and probably non-endemic for the rest of the world.
Okay.
Very cool. So do I also get this, because I hear that you are one hell of a soccer coach. Do I also get that logo on the soccer coach? Because do you put that on the whistle? Or on the stick that you use to beat the kids? What do you do?
Okay, so we've all seen Kicking and Screaming with Ditka and Will Ferrell, right? It's a classic, and of course I watched it, and I'm like, I'm not going to be that coach, and
you are that coach. Not
all the time, but I have my moments. My passion for sports, I guess, transcends triathlon into, I mean, I grew up playing soccer, and last fall, with busted lip and all, we got to play in the championship game. Well, I didn't play. I coached.
You coached, yes.
Yes.
But you felt like you played.
Oh, it was. I mean, when you're coaching those kids, the 6, 7 of them that are on the field, you are 100% focused on that. I mean, there could be all sorts of crazy stuff going on, and literally, I am 100% focused on just that group, and it's a lot of fun. I really, truly enjoy doing it. I enjoy watching the kids improve, and especially at this young of an age, you could see the kids who are passionate about it, and it's fun.
Now,
but I have had my moments where
championship game.
Yes, so
Cassie.
Championship game. My daughter comes out with about 3 minutes left in the game.
Right.
It's tie game 1-1, and she comes out 3 minutes. I grab some water. I need you to go back in. Dad, I'm done. I'm really tired. I'm like, so they're like watching the game, then I quickly kneel down to her. I'm like, Cassie, this could be the last time, or you might be in 100 championship games. You just don't know.
Right.
So I really need you back in the game. So she took a couple sips of water, and she went back in, and they ended up winning the game in overtime. But it was one of those, I guess I really don't agree with how school's being taught these days with the finishers medals, or it's hard for me to explain to my kids of saying, hey, it's okay for me to finish 8th place. No, my kids know that finishing first is really good.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. We get to spray champagne.
Right.
And we get trophies and all this other stuff, where if you finish 8th place, you don't get much of anything. And Daddy's not happy for a few days, and he gets back to grinding a little quicker. So I try to keep it that winning isn't everything, but
it's a good thing.
Yeah, my kids are definitely passionate about winning, and after we had a championship season, the second half of the winter, we got a new team, and I think the league intentionally gave me the exact opposite of what I had. So our team is far younger than the teams we're playing. I have a lot of brand new players.
Right.
So we went from losing by double digits the first couple games, which, they were more football scores than soccer scores. it was kind of like, what do I do? I mean, but I started learning what fires each little girl to make them play their best. And, even for my son's team, my son's got the exact opposite problem this year. I have so many talented players. I feel bad for the other teams. I like telling them, okay, I'm telling 4 and 5-year-olds, you need to pass 2 or 3 times before you kick the ball in the goal. And, you're telling a 4-year-old to pass. They're like, wait, they don't know how to do that. But we're working on it because we have such talent at that one. But back to my daughter's team, we've actually won a game. We beat the first place team.
Very cool.
But other than that, I mean, if all the girls aren't playing well, it's a train wreck. It's a football score. But when all the girls play together and play really well, because they're younger and they're smaller than the other teams we're playing, they've learned how to play together, and together they can band together and be quite competitive with older girls.
So let's talk about some new sponsors, right? Big Sexy? Is that who you're working with?
My wife hasn't called me that in a while.
I call you that every day. That's why you're in the stratosphere.
So Chris and I have been definitely, we're very much polar opposites, but we share a lot of the same things. Mm-hmm. But he's just very quiet about it,
right?
And I'm less quiet about it.
Really?
I don't know. You put this mic in front of me, and I feel like half the people on Twitter that they can do anything with the keyboard. So, I mean, last year when Orca announced that they're no longer going to do custom clothing,
right,
and that they're getting more out of the clothing industry, then I started talking to Chris, and it wasn't like agreement right away or anything that we kind of agreed on. We went back and forth, and there were times that, it looks like this could work or this couldn't work. And then finally we said, you know what, let's do this. And because, I mean, literally, it's called Own Way.
Right.
Chris did it because he wanted to do it his own way. And, I mean, pretty much that characterizes me. I do everything my own way.
Yes, you do.
So, it was kind of a match made in heaven or hell or in between. So I'm looking forward to the opportunities that and the things that we're going to do together. We both like doing things our own way, so hopefully we can work together more than against each other, but we're going to find out, and I'm excited.
So you're one of the guys who's been here since you were really instrumental in the creation of the whole idea of being on the racetrack, right? Because when you were first in Daytona, there was rain and people didn't know what to do, and you're like, listen, let's do the entire race right here. You've got a place. You knew you were going to swim there, but we could do the whole bike and the whole run right here on the racetrack. Which is basically what you guys did. Have you been excited about the growth of this? Because it's gone from just that one event in Daytona to become the PTO championship, right?
Yeah.
To now it's Clash, and this is the second year we're at Miami, and you had a road course here, and then the Speedway course in Daytona, and then Watkins Glen is going to be a road course with some climbing. And so your excitement about where this came from and where it's gone.
So where this came from, it was that moment in Daytona where pretty much all the professionals agreed on what we should do.
Right.
And then the race directors are like, okay, your guys call, and you're going to do it. I mean, never before, whenever the professionals have agreed before.
Which doesn't happen a lot either.
Which doesn't happen, period. Race management is always like, no, you guys don't know what you're doing. And
that word collaboration was sort of a new one.
Right. And I think, I know the PTO was kind of in the works there, but I think that was ultimately the first real professional, where the professionals worked with the race management to come and better the sport in many years. I think that is the first time in many years where both race management and the professionals collaborated and pushed and vaulted the sport forward. Doing that just didn't move the sport like a touch forward. It vaulted it forward. It's moved it in front of new audiences.
Totally.
The future of the sport, I think, it's got more growth potential now than it has in a long time. In a decade.
Right.
We can look 15 years ago when the last huge growth period where, we're looking 2008 time frame where you had Lifetime, you had all of the Olympic, non-draft Olympic distances come a couple of them.
Hy-Vee and all these huge races,
Yeah, and all these, and now here we are 15 years later. So, hopefully this will vault us forward again. And being part of it, an instrumental part of it, was really cool. Seeing that it's going to Watkins Glen, I mean, I'm super excited about it going to Watkins Glen. I just, I need to go on a diet, man. I'm going to have to lose
That's a lot of climbing, right?
Oh, yeah. That's a brutal course. Both pros, I mean, age groupers, it's a very scenic course because they're, they go around and then to the speedway. But the pro race, which is on the speedway. You go straight
up to the speedway,
yeah,
right?
we start out with a long climb and then get on the speedway, and it's...
did you go out there and sort of test ride the course?
Oh, yeah, I've been out to the course.
Wow. And so how much climbing out of the water? Is it like 4,000 feet or something?
No, it's not like 4,000 feet. It's I think maybe 800 or 1,000 or 1,200 feet. I mean, coming out of the water and going, I mean, literally you go through town, which is like a half mile or a mile, and then you just start climbing up to the speedway, and then once you get in the speedway...
There's climbing there too, though,
right?
Yeah,
it's not flat. It's... you get to the speedway, and it's like, oh, I made it to the speedway, and then you go up more. So, yeah, I mean, it's not technical climbing, so it's not like road bike climbing, like and descending like Nice or any of those courses. But there's definitely a lot of elevation change, and I know that they're still tweaking and trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do and what the course is going to be. But I'm super excited to do that course because of the magnitude of that place and also the wind. I mean, if the wind's right, it could be. I mean, you could be hitting some really fast speeds because it's a downhill main straightaway, and you could get a nice 20 to 30 mile an hour tailwind because you're on the crest of a hill.
Oh my God!
And it'll be pushing you off into turn one.
That's gonna be good TV.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, maybe if we get some good upstate New York weather with some rain and some wind and make the course a little slick, it could be real fun.
So I think of you when you see all the pro triathletes are at camps in Tucson or their camps in other places, and I know Andrew's coaching soccer right now. Is it hard for you knowing, hey, I'm competing with all these guys and I'm looking at all their training stuff and I don't have the time to do what they do?
I don't have the time to look at what they're doing.
Okay, that's even better.
I don't. I honestly don't. And I've never really infatuated myself with what everybody else is doing. I have a few friends that follow everybody else and did you see this or did you see that? And I don't. I mean, I am so focused on training these days. Yeah. And here and there, I'm able to squeeze in, put in a camp or do a camp of my own. Right. But for the most part, it's all. It's just. I'm just training hard and parenting, and it's. I love it. It's very simple life, but it's very fulfilling.
Well, it suits you.
Yeah, it does. It's it's 10 years ago. 10 years ago this week, I was in a very different situation.
Is that when you got run over by the truck?
No.
Oh, you're talking about Xander?
No.
Oh, which one? 10 years ago. Wait.
10 years ago this week.
10 years ago this week. I'm not, what is it? I know that run over by a truck. Yeah. Xander nearly dying multiple times.
Yeah. Well, in fact, it's interesting you say that. One of our really close friends, their son just is 2 weeks old and got admitted and was doing something very similar. Yeah. So, granted it's broadband of what it could be, but and immediately, you find out about it and literally you just get choked up just remembering
because you flash back to.
Oh yeah, and it was. Going through that whole thing was just. You can't even describe. There's no words. There's nothing you can say or do to somebody who's going through that situation. Right. So,
how did that change you? Because you think about it, you're in a full body cast. You just got run by a truck.
How did that change me?
You're doing CPR on your newborn.
Yeah.
To basically make sure that they stay alive. That was a lot of trauma at the same time.
Yeah.
And what you guys do for a living is you swim, bike, run, which is a little different from life-altering experience which you were dealing with at that time.
Yeah. I don't know. It changes you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those periods of time where it's just a lot of snapshots.
Right.
Of moments. There were there were good days. There were some very bad days. And, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I didn't sleep well for 6 months or probably a year. I didn't sleep more than a couple minutes here and there. I mean, he was in the ICU for more than 60 days. And, you know, I mean, I was doing nights. My wife was doing days. And then, you know, had our daughter, and I was in therapy for all of my injuries. And, yeah, it was what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, you know, yeah.
And you have had a few of those.
Yes. So have you figured out what 10 years ago
was when you were over in the UAE?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking of it.
Ago.
Yeah. Because we've, you know, sort of chatted about that, but for a long time you didn't want to talk about that.
I still don't want to talk about it. Okay. It's not something. I mean, you look
just
back,
for our viewers.
You can search it on the internet. It's there.
Yeah,
it's there.
Yeah.
Search Abu Dhabi Triathlon 2012.
Andrew Starykowicz leading the race. Volunteer steps out.
Yeah, just bad situation.
Bad situation. End up in jail for how long?
I was in and out. I mean, I was in and out of jail for. I mean, each time it was a mystery of whether I'd go back or whether I'd stay there for the night. So I came home in April.
Yeah.
And the race was at the beginning of March. So, you know, it was.
So you were there a full month
after the race.
Yeah, and you couldn't get out.
I mean, they had my passport.
Now, I heard that Lance.
We're not talking about this.
Okay.
We're not talking about this.
Was Lance Armstrong helpful in that?
There was a lot of people who were working
behind the scenes.
Okay. And I don't know who exactly the person was that finally made things happen, but it happened.
And you got home.
I paid my way home.
Wow.
So, what were we talking about? We're talking something better.
We were talking about the fact that you've gone through some different trauma, and then you were asking me what happened 10 years ago. I thought it was going to be run over by the truck.
No, that was
the fact that your son nearly died.
That was 5 years ago.
But then it's the Abu Dhabi where you ended up in jail for basically a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
there's a few of those things.
Yeah. Well, that's setbacks. Yeah. You know, they're growing experiences.
What is Xander doing now?
So, I mean, he's in early childhood education, and next year he'll go to regular kindergarten, so he's on track there. And then, you know, and sports-wise, he loves swimming and playing soccer. So
and no incidents.
He's had no incidents since he was very young. So, cool. You know, I mean, he's controlled on meds, and other than, I mean, now that one, I got to say, what was it, 2018 Kona? Mm-hmm. No, was it 2018? 2019 Kona. 2019 Kona. 2019 Kona was probably emotionally one of the hardest races of my life.
Yeah.
So about 3 weeks before Kona, we go in, or about a month before Kona, we go in for a routine doctor appointment to check, and they did a MRI, a brain and spine MRI.
Yeah.
And the neurologist said, hey, there's something odd here. I want you to see this neurosurgeon. So then originally it was a brain MRI, then they had us do a spine MRI, then we saw the neurosurgeon, and we are sitting there talking, and literally, so first I'm over my wife's shoulder, looking at the view. So here's how normal brain looks, here's how your son brain looks, and they're explaining all the differences, and his PA is playing with my son at the other end of the room, and he's, you know, just over 2 years old, and then halfway through as they start talking about it and talking about the differences, now I'm standing across the room with my back against the wall.
Right.
And the next thing, they look over at me, and I'm sitting on the floor, like white, looking across the room, listening to them, and they're like talking about he has a Chiari malformation, and they're talking about surgical dates.
Oh,
and they're like, all we're gonna do is we're gonna cut and remove the bottom of his skull, and we're gonna go and we're gonna put a little mesh and move his brain up so he gets, you know, fluid flowing back down his spinal cord because he's gonna start getting, and you know, I mean. So when do you want to do that? And he's like, it's not urgent, but, you know, and so we're talking about all the stuff that, you know, we're going to Kona like in 2 weeks and he needs to be still. And so, you know, I go to Kona, they fly over, and literally, you know, I get halfway through the race, and, you know, it's just all of a sudden, I'm in good position. It was me, Cam Murph at the front.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, it was the weirdest thing. It was just like all this emotion just poured over me. Wow. And like literally, at that point, I was done. Yeah. Like literally, it was like, you know what? There's far bigger things. I mean, that I had just come back from being run over by so it's 2018. I just come back from being run over by a truck. I made it all the way back. This was kind of where I wanted to be. It's like all of a sudden, like 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the bike, it's like I'm doing everything in my mind to focus, but all of a sudden in 1 second, my heart wasn't there. It was like,
done.
My son, he's going to have this surgery. I'm feeling horrible. I can't focus. I can't, it's just, and basically I had trained so hard to get back to this point from being run over, fractures in my back, fractures in my legs. I'd done everything to get here. Right. And all of a sudden it's just like it unplugged.
Didn't matter.
And I just finished it, and it was ironic. I ended up running the run with Tim Don.
Right.
Who himself had just come back from something.
From getting run over by
hit by a
breaking
car.
his neck. Yeah.
Right at that race the year before. So it was just, how has it changed me? Maybe triathlon means a little less than it used to. Yeah. I mean, I'm still passionate about it and everything, but, it makes you realize that, the biggest things in life are family, friends, and kids. So.
That's all matters.
Yeah. So, but, I'm happy to be here and racing this weekend. That's sad because, the kids need to be taught that winning is everything.
And so obviously,
I'm not talking about my kids.
No.
I'm talking about these kids in the field.
Oh, that winning is everything.
Winning is everything. I mean, I look at the start list and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like 10 years older than a third of the field.
Yeah. They could be on your soccer team.
I'll be thinking about that at the start line. Hey, you guys should all be on the soccer.
Listen, I'll get you a juice box. Why don't you go sit on the side there for a bit, and we'll take care of it. Yes. I love it. Hey, have a good one. Be a big American Harry winning machine out here on Friday.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Exactly. Ricky Bobby has been our guest, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Andrew, always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks. And Stratosphere. Yeah.
Stratosphere.
Check it out. I get a media deck at my website.
Yes.
Check it out, and I'll send you an email after the race.
And you'll get a sponsorship.
I am my own agent, so you're going to have to deal with me. So.
Oh, that's an issue. That is totally an issue. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll catch you in a little bit. See ya.